Yes, welcome back. And on this segment, we're taking a look at the nation. We're casting our eye on the nation to look at where we are. There are a number of issues that is affecting the nation. One of them is the issue of suspension of the CBN governor. Another is the fact that this month in February, centenary celebration, Nigeria has indeed come a long way. So all of these issues, we'll take a quick look at them, and to discuss with us this morning on my left hand side, yes, that's my left hand. Yes, that's my left hand. We've got Dr. Abiodun Adedipe. Good morning and welcome, an economist and financial analyst. Great to have you here.
We've got two Bioduns actually.
Yes, and the other Biodun in the house. His Biodun showing me is a social commentator, political commentator as well. Good morning and welcome.
I'm pleased to be here.
Okay, I think the hottest issue is not even the centenary celebration. Let's start with the way and manner in which the CBN governor has been removed. What is your own thought?
Thank you so very much for that. This is a very critical issue for our economy. And I will start from the angle that certainly what has been done and the manner it was done will affect the economy. And of course, we started seeing that immediately it happened.
Even though we saw a huge headline that it will not affect the economy.
Well, certainly, I mean, that was a political statement, I would say. Now, I put it that way because immediately that pronouncement was made, the exchange rate market began to react. Also, the stock market started to react. So, most of what we normally will look at as analysts, what we call macroeconomic indices, immediately began to move in adverse directions. And that is to tell you immediately that, look, this will affect the economy. And that was just the beginning. The real major issue there is what we call new capital formation, which is simply new investment. Now, any investor, whether domestic or foreign, would naturally look at the development and say, hey, this is not the time for me to put fresh money. It is better for me to wait and see before I commit any further new investment. So certainly this has an effect on the economy, and even ultimately, if we get back on track, that little space of time where we lost momentum will ensure, or let me say, will make it work out that the prospect for growth this year that the economy had at the beginning certainly will fall short of it somehow at the end of the year.
So in terms of the removal, then you feel that it's a political statement coming from Madam CME, the coordinating minister for the economy, saying that it will have no impact on the Nigerian economy?
Certainly. And I will put that in this perspective. The first is that we look at that position and away from the person. Now, the position of the central bank governor is very key in terms of the financial industry, number one, and then the economy itself as a complete entity, the national economy. And the way it goes is that anytime you look at whoever is in that office, whatever utterances he or she makes that is significant becomes important in terms of an idea or the direction of policy, and then the response of policy also to whatever has been observed happening in the economic space. So which means then that whatever actions are taken, whatever utterances are made by whoever is in that office is a reflection of the data and information available to such person. And so you take it from there and you now know that, hey, the way now the government deals with whoever is in that office becomes also important. And that is why, in my own considered opinion, the government has not handled it in a way that will help this economy.
Okay, let me ask Biodun then, when you look at the way this decision has been taken, the government wants us to believe, the government would like Nigerians to believe that there is being a level of recklessness in terms of spending, in terms of actions by the CBN governor, or the suspended CBN governor as he is. You're a social commentator. What's your interpretation of the action of the government?
Yes, that Lamido Sanusi may have heard one way or the other may not necessarily be in doubt. I mean, we all recognize the fact that about 2 years ago, I think, or 2010, he made a donation of about 10 billion naira. And I was one of those who criticized that you can't easily donate public funds in that way. But many people argue that, some people argue that maybe he has the right to do that under the CBN Act. The fact of the matter is there are so many allegations, made against Sanusi. Whether it is right or not, we don't know, because it has not been investigated. What we have is
being investigated, right?
Or is being investigated currently.
Even though he says that he's aware of all the issues raised and he has responded.
Sanusi himself admitted to that. He said, look, I'm aware of it, I have been queried about them, I have responded to all those issues, all those concerns raised. But the investigation is yet to be completed. It was suspended, pending investigation. Where people have issues now is not whether there are no issues, there are no indictments against Sanusi. There are mere allegations which has not been, they've not been investigated. I think where the real issue now is whether the presidency has the powers under the law to suspend Sanusi. When you look at it, even using the civil service regulations, federal civil service regulation, it is only the federal civil service that can suspend a worker pending investigation, not the president of the country. If you now use the CBN Act, the section 11 of the Act, which many people have been talking about, one basic principle is this: the president has a right to appoint. He will nominate, he would appoint whoever is the governor of central bank. The Senate confirms. It means the president is sharing that authority, both with Senate. And when it comes to the issue of removal, it's only under section 1F, subsection 1F, that made an explicit provision that you can only remove the governor of central bank if, for instance, his professional bodies, if, for instance, the president recommends his removal and is backed by 2/3 of the Senate. That is, he has not been removed. Even now, he has not been fired. The Senate is the only one who can finally confirm that he has been removed. Interestingly, there's only one aspect of that section 11 that made reference to removal. The section relating to that is section 11(1)(d), relating to removal. You can only be removed from office, suspended from office, you can only be suspended from office if the professional body that he belongs to, found him guilty of one thing or the other. So in this case, we didn't have that situation. The intendment of those who wrote that act seems to be very clear to me. There is no provision for suspension. There is only provision for removal, and you can only suspend somebody if you've been found guilty by your professional body. That is not the case in this case. Okay. But what I think happened is the president probably wanting his transformation agenda to be accelerated, or feeling that, look, all the hiccups around the economy is affecting his agenda, and then he felt he needed to do something. Okay. That is what...
Let me take us back a bit, back to the CBN and NNPC issue. A lot has been said about it, but raising that alarm, Dr. Adedipe, does it not infer that some monies are missing? Some monies were not remitted to the Federation account?
Now, it is quite obvious.
It's just the amounts that we're arguing about.
The amounts we're arguing about.
Yes.
And I'll put that in this perspective, that when you look back at when this whole issue started, and you look at the big picture, what had been happening to the federal allocations that were being shared by the different tiers of government, in recent months, it's been going down. So every government, federal, state, and local, has been concerned about the dwindling allocations from that what I would describe as the federal pot. Okay, so that alone has given us an evidence that there is an issue about oil revenue to start with. Now came up the issue of numbers at 40 something, and then 10 point something, now 12 point something, now 20 billion. It is not so much as what the figure is. What is important here is the issue that some money is missing. And I think that is what we should actually be discussing. That is the issue.
But would you, what would you say to those who